My name is Grace Poore, and I'm the Regional Program Coordinator for Asia and the Pacific Islands at the International Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission. On February 18th of this year, I had the privilege of being at the United Nations in Geneva, where I delivered a statement to the CEDAW committee during its discussion on women and access to justice. Now, CEDAW stands for the Committee for the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. This is the statement that I presented in Geneva. This statement is presented on behalf of 43 women's rights, human rights, sexual rights, women's health and reproductive rights organizations based in Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Americas. We urge the CEDAW committee to follow its own precedent and include explicit reference to sexual orientation and gender identity in its forthcoming general recommendation on women's access to justice. Lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people face several obstacles in accessing justice. As women, they are subject to the same barriers as all other women, and as people, they are persecuted because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. These barriers multiply the effects of discrimination. LBT people are subject to formal discrimination due to laws that criminalize same-sex relations and cross-dressing. They are unable to rely on state mechanisms for redress because states not only fail to provide basic constitutional protections, but in numerous instances, state authorities are complicit in violent and egregious human rights violations. Many states that prohibit discrimination on the basis of sex, ethnicity, religion, or disability do not prohibit discrimination on the grounds of sexual orientation or gender identity. Of the 185 states party to the CEDAW Convention that have laws to protect women from domestic or family violence, most do not protect individuals in same-sex relationships. The CEDAW Committee understands that promising equal treatment of women in unequal situations does not ensure justice. For this reason, the committee insists that equality be measured by access to opportunity and equality of results. To implement this equality, the committee has repeatedly addressed the disproportionate burdens borne by marginalized and vulnerable women. In 2010, the committee issued General Recommendation 28, where it recognized that discrimination against women is inextricably linked to factors such as discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. It would be consistent with General Recommendation 28 for the committee to recognize and explicitly name the ways that intersectional discrimination poses obstacles for LBT people's access to justice. Those who arrest, beat, rape, and otherwise punish lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people believe they deserve to be punished. The committee has stated many times that rejection of gender roles is no excuse for violence and discrimination, and that the principles of equality and non-discrimination must prevail over cultural or traditional practices that adversely affect women's lives. Lesbian, bisexual women, and transgender people deserve to be represented in the General Recommendation on Women's Access to Justice. We respectfully request that the committee include and specifically acknowledge obstacles that LBT people face in accessing justice because of their sexual orientation and gender identity.